in a nutshell, what is Scottish politics? What's the best way of describing what's going on in Scotland?
Well, I've always said that Scottish politics is like it's like children playing politics. It's You've got some very good politicians there. You've got some fantastic sort of constituent MSPs and MPs. They're not all awful. The trouble is the tools they've been given are particularly bad. But there seems to be so many of them that are either stupid and inept or totally corrupt. Now you can forgive stupidity, but corruption is deliberate, and you can't forgive that. But then you have the what I would call the very dangerous ones. Now the dangerous ones are things like Nicola Sturgeon. When she took over from Alex Salmond, God rest him, um, he was a fairly moderate leader of a party. She took it to the extreme where there was no more differences. You couldn't disagree with someone. You couldn't be on the other side of an argument. She took it that just because they disagreed with you, you had to hate them. And I think that was always dangerous. And so she pushed really policies of hate. And I think that has absolutely destroyed the SNP. But you do have some great SNP politicians. And I always say Fergus Ewing is a king amongst men as far as any politician in Scotland. He's generally one of the few that I would say would be respected and liked, regardless of whatever party you follow. And again, Jackie Baillie for Labour, another one who is highly respected, works hard, is genuinely a good MP or MSP, sorry. And there are a few of them, but there's an awful lot that are absolutely out of their depth. And that's the problem. They're given jobs for which they have no life skills, no knowledge. You say you've worked, you've done things. These people have never held a job. You get someone like Neil Gray who came from energy, which is a small department, it's a paper pushing department, and he's given health. Now the rumor is he doesn't even do it. He sits in his office, locks the door, and then sits doing nothing all day. He cannot talk to anyone on the phone, doesn't do meetings, he doesn't go out and about. And sadly for Scotland, that's a lot of them in the SNP. But it isn't just them, it's all the parties. There's an awful lot of them that are just out of their depth. And I would say it's a comedy of errors.
Now, let me just ask you this. Everything you've said then, we also think about all the English politicians, all the Welsh politicians. So are you saying that Scotland is uniquely worse in their class of politicians, or is it fair to say this is the quality of most of our politicians in the UK presently?
Well, bit of both. I would say that there are very few, and especially after the last general election, there are very few good politicians left. There's very few politicians that you've even heard of now. A lot of the new intake, you've never heard of them. A lot of the old school ones have gone. But Scotland, I do feel, is uniquely bad. And I think it's almost because it's tribal. It's no longer party against party. It's tribal politics up there. And it really is. And, if you're beyond just the parties, you've also got unionist and independent. You've also got the sectarianism between Catholic and Protestant, which a lot of people you associate with Northern Ireland. People don't realise how strong that is in Scotland as well. So it's incredibly tribal, and it does create difficulties when you're trying to reach something in the middle. You could actually have a policy that both parties agree is a good policy, but they won't vote for it because they suggested it. And it's good policies are laid waste because of the tribalistic nature of the politics. It's horrendous, but funny.